Susan screams that one of the eyes has moved. She doesn't specify which one, but it definitely winked at her. At the services, snivelling Supergrass Chen Chu snitches on the travellers for going to the Cave of 500 Eyes. Ian angrily tells an angry Marco that he can be angry later on, after they've been to the Cave of 500, probably angry, eyes. At the caves, the Doctor is busy insisting that none of the quartz eyes have been clumsily flirting with Susan. Tigana appears out of the shadows and tries to scare them away by wheeling out his standard tactic. That's right, the caves are haunted by, can you guess, evil spirits. Ah, good God, the lack of imagination of this man is astounding. The Doctor insists he isn't afraid of spirits, thankfully not attempting a rendition of the Ghostbusters song.
Who are you gonna call?
Ghostbusters!
I ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Tigana is thankfully saved from having to improvise anymore by the stealthy arrival of Ian and Marco. After passing around Barbara's hanky some more, Susan points to the picture with the lecherous eyes. Ian goes over to check it out. Tigana starts waving his sword around and loudly asking the spirits to leave. Ian sarcastically asks if it's safe for them to look now he's finished flashing his blade. Ian also sees the eyes move and figures out that part of the wall has a door in it. They push the door open, revealing Akumat's band. Before they can ask for requests, they are overpowered and Barbara is rescued. Back at the services, Marco is telling Tigana how they rescued Barbara from a horde of, at least 50 band members. Tigana asks why they can't just leave the Doctor's party behind, but Marco feels somewhat guilty for pretty much stealing the TARDIS. Tigana starts to sow doubt about how trustworthy and honest they are. He's clearly had some time to think of a new tack, rather than the well and truly flogged dead horse of, evil spirits. Barbara and everyone else come downstairs. A still shaken Barbara tells Marco she followed Tigana there. His definitely innocent exclamation of,
Me?
is pretty incredible. They begin to bicker, but are cut short by Marco, who's remembered his deal with Ian to defer his anger until everyone was returned. Tigana leaves smugly as Marco tells Ping Chow she will no longer be sharing a room with the clearly bad influence Susan. Marco writes in his diary as the caravan travels on towards Shangtu. During another rest stop, the Doctor, Ian and Barbara are having a good old bitch about Marco's increasingly grumpy attitude. The Doctor has at least been able to crack on with his work on the TARDIS circuit, telling them he should be finished in another day. While she will be glad to get away from Marco's temper tantrums, travelling with one mercurial arse is bad enough, Barbara feels sorry for Susan, who has grown close to Ping Chow.
It's a pity there was any association at all. That Chinese child makes me nervous.
Whoa there, Doctor. I didn't see Racist Road on the map. Oh, right, yes, there it is. Very short and leading directly into a pit of cess. The Doctor backpedals and, with the improvisational skills of Thomas Ripley, quickly asserts that his issue has nothing to do with race, honest, but rather that she knows about the fake key, so could be a problem. Because she's a girl and they love a good gossip, don't they? Hey lads, hey. A sad Ping Cho and Susan are discussing Marco's continued grumpiness and speculating on what Tigana might have said to him, probably something to do with evil spirits. As conversation turns to Susan's imminent departure, she promises Ping Cho that she will say goodbye properly before leaving. Before things potentially take a turn for the Torchwood, Marco cuts in with another travel update. Following the Yellow River, something no one has dared to drink from or bathe in. They stop at Sin Lu, where the TARDIS is parked outside. As they're searching through their luggage, Marco asks Tigana if he's seen his bags. He has some specialist garments that are deeply important to him. Tigana tells Marco his stuff is in the passage outside his room, and then goes into town. All this talk of back passages and secret stashes give Ping Cho a sudden inspiration. She and Susan go to Marco, where she tells him of Tigana's knowledge of a passageway in the Cave of 500 Eyes, a cave he claimed to know nothing about. Unfortunately for the young sleuth, Marco's having none of it. At a local bar, Tigana is enjoying a drink. Akamat arrives to spoil his mood. They make plans to attack the caravan as it makes its way through a bamboo forest. Tigana wants Marco to die, like an old woman in her bed. An image it will be easier to cultivate thanks to Marco's secret accoutrement. Tigana the Vampire Slayer gets the Doctor and Dracula mixed up and plans to kill the Doctor with a stake through the heart. Later that night, at the way station, the Doctor, Barbara and Ian ninja their way to the TARDIS. The Doctor rather noisily opens the TARDIS door. Fortunately for them, ear syringing hasn't been invented yet, and the guard on duty has impacted earwax. Just as the Doctor enters, Tigana enters the courtyard and stares longingly at the TARDIS. As the Doctor potters around in the ship, Ian, Barbara and Susan stress as to whether they've been busted. Seeing that Tigana has gone, Ian tells the other two to get the Doctor out of the ship and hide as he has a plan to turn the tables on Tigana. All completely unnecessary when the three of them could just get in the ship and sod off. Ian finds Marco and goes on a full charm offensive. Susan is victim blamed by Marco for being a bad influence, even though it was Ping Cho's idea to go out during a sandstorm, causing them to nearly get killed. Marco still has hearts in his eyes for Tigana, so he's immune to Ian's attempts to get around him. Tigana appears and tells Marco that he did see the Doctor entering the TARDIS. Ian puts his amateur dramatics training to use and makes a great show of being fine with them waiting for the Doctor to leave the TARDIS.
Well, why don't we go outside and have a look? If it'll convince you that Tigana is making trouble, we can wait here all night. All we can do now is wait for him to come out.
Unfortunately, the tardy Doctor decides that this is the time to leave the ship, reinforcing the special relationship between Marco and Tigana. After wresting the key from the Doctor, Marco flashes his bling and fully claims the TARDIS in the name of the Khan. The Doctor decides to go for broke and insults various aspects of Marco's intellect. The caravan moves on, and Marco writes in his diary, as the caravan stops in the bamboo forest, the travellers are starting to go stir crazy in their isolation tent. Ian throws a plate and breaks it, which makes no one feel better. The men decide that they'll have to capture Polo in order to get the TARDIS keys back. Susan and Barbara rightly point out the many and varied flaws in that plan, but Ian just blah blahs his way forward.
Take him hostage. But we're hopelessly outnumbered.
Only by day. At night we've got the edge on them. They've only got one guard, remember?
Yes, but how are you going to disarm him?
I don't know. Somehow. I'll do it.
Now, just a minute. First things first, young man. How are we going to get out of here? And remember, that guard is out there watching for us.
With this, I'll cut my way out.
As Ian uses the broken plate to cut through the side of the tent, hoping that the guard will think the noise is unsuspicious flatulence. Susan asks the Doctor what they'll do if Marco doesn't cooperate. The Doctor's response is positively Chesterton-esque in its vagueness, accompanied by a rather sinister laugh.
I think by the time I finish with that gentleman, he'll only be too glad to let us go.
Ian slips through the slit in the tent and sees the guard sat down and facing away from him. Clearly not having seen any horror films, he approaches